Herbert Palmer was an English Puritan clergyman, member of the Westminster Assembly, and president of Queen's College, Cambridge. He is now remembered for his work on the Westminster Shorter Catechism, and as a leading opponent of John Milton's divorce tracts. Early life. He was a younger son of Sir Thomas Palmer, KNT, and grandson of Sir Thomas Palmer of Wingham, Kent. He was born at Wingham in 1601, and baptized on the 29th of March. His mother was the eldest daughter of Herbert Palmer of Crawley, Sussex. He learned French almost as soon as English, and always spoke it fluently. On the 23rd of March 1616 he was admitted fellow commoner in St. John's College, Cambridge. He graduated BA 1619, M.A. 1622, and was elected Fellow of Queen's College, Cambridge on the 17th of July 1623. He took holy orders in 1624, and proceeded B.D. in 1631. In 1626, on his way to visit his brother, Sir Thomas Palmer, Bart. At Wingham, he preached at Canterbury Cathedral. The report of his sermon reached the ears of Philip Delme, minister of the French Church at Canterbury, who made his acquaintance at Wingham, got him to preach again at St. George's, Canterbury, and made efforts to procure his settlement as lecturer. He was licensed by Archbishop George Abbot for a Sunday afternoon lectureship at St. Alphonsus, Canterbury. He acted as a spiritual advisor, and did much religious visiting, though without pastoral charge. Occasionally he preached to the French congregation. Political career. While strongly opposing the Separatist Party, he resisted the innovations favored by William Laud. He was articled for his Puritanism, but the prosecution proved abortive. About 1630 the Dean, Isaac Bargrave, put down his lectureship, on the ground that he had gone beyond his office by catechizing, and that his lecture drew factious persons out of other parishes. The lecture was revived in consequence of an influentially signed petition to Abbot. His friends, headed by Thomas Finch, twice tried without success to secure for him a prebend at Canterbury. On the resignation of Thomas Turner, Lord, then Bishop of London, presented Palmer, at the instance of a great nobleman, to the rectory of Ashwell, Hertfordshire, in 1632. Laud, at his trial a decade later, referred to this among other evidences of his impartial patronage of merit. He declined the religious ministrations of Palmer during his imprisonment in the Tower and at the block. In 1632 also, Palmer was made university preacher at Cambridge. At Ashwell he matured his system of catechizing, giving prizes of Bibles to those who could read, and 5s to illiterates, on the reaching a proficiency which fitted them for admission to communion. Robert Bailey reckoned Palmer the best catechist in England. He originated the method of breaking up the main answer into preparatory questions, to be answered by yeses or no. In 1633, he refused to read the Book of Sports. He got his parishioners to bind themselves against compact against drunkenness and Sabbath breaking. He took in sons of noblemen and gentry as boarders, under a resident tutor. Preaching a visitation sermon at Hitchin in 1638, he spoke freely against innovations. On the 19th of July 1642, he was appointed by the House of Commons one of 15 Tuesday lecturers at Hitchin, and then was appointed an original member of the Westminster Assembly by the Ordinance of the 12th of June 1643. He moved to London, placing Ashwell in charge of John Crowe, his half-brother, who became his successor, and was ejected in 1662. On the 28th of June 1643, he preached a political sermon before the House of Commons, whose thanks he received through Sir Oliver Luke. He became preacher at St. James's, Duke Place, and afterwards at the new church in the parish of St. Margaret's, Westminster. He was also one of the 7 morning lecturers at Westminster Abbey. On the 11th of April 1644 he was appointed by Edward Montague, 2nd Earl of Manchester, as Master of Queen's College, Cambridge, in place of Edward Martin. At the same time, the entire fellowship of the college, strongly royalist, was expelled. Martin was already in the Tower of London. Manchester recruited 9 new fellows, 7 being from Emmanuel College, Cambridge. In his capacity as president, Palmer was a disciplinarian, helped refugee students from Germany and Hungary, and gave benefactions to the college library. In the Westminster Assembly, of which he was one of the assessors pro tempore in January 1646 and September 1646, he had much to do with the drawing up of the Directory, and was anxious for a clause about pastoral visitation, which was not inserted. As regards ordination, he differed both from Presbyterians and Independents, holding that any company of ministers may ordain, and that designation to a congregation is unnecessary. He joined John Lightfoot in pleading for private baptism. His chief work was in connection with the Assembly's Shorter Catechism, though he did not live till its completion. To him was due to the method by which each answer forms a substantive statement, not needing to be helped out by the question. He died in August to September 1647. He was unmarried. A portrait in Samuel Clarke's Lives of 32 English Divines shows an emaciated visage. Sunk between his shoulders, he wears moustache and thin beard, skullcap and ruff with academic gown, and leans on a cushion. Sir Patrick, a friend at college, calls him a little crooked man, but says he was revered. He left a benefaction for poor scholars at Queen's College. Works. Since a book by Alexander Grosset in the 19th century, a work on the Christian paradoxes, has usually been attributed to Palmer. Formerly it was considered to be by Francis Bacon. It was printed in 1645 as The Characters of a Believing Christian, in Paradoxes and Seeming Contradictions. Also from 1645 is a Sabbatarian work with Daniel Cawdrey. Lord Bacon, not the author of The Christian Paradoxes. https archive.org. Details. Lord Bacon Author Palmer. https archive.org. Details. Lord Bacon Author Palmer 6621071 MLCCN 19260118 LCC BV4500. https archive.org. Details. Lord Bacon Author Palmiala Ol 71695999M. https archive.org. Details. LD Bacon Author Palmiala Ol 7044907M LCCN 20132257 LCC BV4500. https archive.org. Details. Lord Bacon Palmer Oftol 72371441M.